Yeah, I see where this conversation is going to go today. Okay,
But I noticed you were on WSFA.
right.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that. I didn't
Well,
get to see the interview.
I didn't get to see it too much either. No, but what happened was they had called and wanted myself to come by and just kind of give some comments. And I will be honest with you, it's funny to me. This is my second time, just speaking on the issue. And it's a 10-minute conversation, and you get about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So I've come up with the fact that it's about a 10% retention situation when you're talking to them. And they're looking for sound bites.
Right.
And, the only thing that I think that came across with my portion of the deal, and of course, my friend P.C. Told, gave a little bit more elaboration here. Now, they did go a little bit further in the actual article on WSFA, but that's a different deal. The bottom line was, whether the council wanted to or thought that they were, they wiped out just about all of their diversity in one or two personnel groups. Right now, they have for the next month and a half just one female that happens to be white that's left, and she's on a short contract. So that was the issue, and it's not that I'm expecting for them to just go on a hiring spree of white males, white females, or black males, or black females. It's if we don't point out the obvious and make individuals accountable for trying to make sure that there's an appropriate mix that looks like the community.
Right.
Then, we would be wrong for not at least trying to make sure that people put forth the effort to be to recruit as many people as they can.
Are you saying
that's in diversity?
that right now our representatives in the city look like Trump's cabinet?
Not necessarily. Ooh, boy. You are testing that citrus, boy, I tell you. Now, from a journalistic standpoint, let's put it that way. For the individuals that are department heads or officials, the individuals who are appointed, right now, they don't have much diversity. And to ensure that our community stays calm, I guess would be the best way of putting it, and that individuals feel as if they're thoroughly represented by all sides.
Part of the community.
Yeah, or at least have a voice.
Yeah.
And, somebody needs to be sitting at the table that can say, well, you might need to think about this, or you might need to consider this, because if we get into groupthink, we'll be like we were in the last council.
Yeah. We are in a process, and maybe that's the driving factor. We seem to be in a process where we're repairing prior damage.
Yeah, I get it.
But sometimes you can take on that cloak and that cape and they write that S on your chest and you forget, your humanity and that you actually represent groups of people and you're not just Superman by yourself.
Yeah. Now, the only problem that I had with the whole deal is that all of a sudden things came out that didn't necessarily justify an immediate termination. I'm in HR. And it seems odd, as I said in my interview, that no one addressed this with either one of them publicly or behind closed doors that we know of. And I'll say this, that we know of, where the public even knew there might be somewhat of an issue and it needed to be addressed. If it was an issue, it needed to be addressed, and we had police officers or fire people that were legitimately in a hostile or bad situation, then I expected for something to be done. But for the community not to know that there was some potential issues, and it all of a sudden be the deciding factor, but to come back and say, well, they had good performance.
Yeah.
And they made money and they did everything. That didn't make sense.
I worked a job once, and there was a change in leadership on the job. So I found out one day that I had received 3 write-ups And I questioned it because I never had a write-up. So the new supervisor said, you have these write-ups, and I questioned write-ups. She said, do you understand the policies and procedures? I said, yeah, I have write-ups.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say this. I don't expect for our first responders to be treated bad, to have issues or whatever. But as a manager myself, I also don't expect for everybody to be happy that's under my employ.
Exactly.
So that, to me, is a little bit of a quandary because now are you putting the chickens in charge of the hen house?
Yeah, because if you're my supervisor and I plan a barbecue on Saturday and you say I got to work Saturday, I don't like you.
So now is the bar that our police officers have to be friendly, happy, and loving at work, and if they're not, then they're going to get terminated. I mean, that the chief gets terminated, or, you know, I'm trying to understand what the message was in that situation.
You know, every time I bring you here, I have to extend another invitation because we just eat up time.
Yeah.
We've been here in the Lake Martin Trucking Auto segment show with the Centrist, with Sean Bland. Of course, his opinions are his opinions, and my being loose and silly is mine.
Stay involved. Don't let people off the hook.
And let people who represent you know that they are represented.
There you go.
We'll be back after this commercial now.